Hello and welcome back for another episode of the FIT40 Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about why most people struggle to keep the weight off long term. Now, this comes off of me being in a few groups, and people are really struggling around this time of year because they started off the year hot, they lost 10, 20 pounds, and now they're right back to where they started, or they just feel like they're stuck. And it's usually because a lot of these specific things are not addressed. And this also comes from working with clients too, because with the one-on-one clients, I can tell you right now, like everybody kind of has something different going on. There's a lot of similarities. There are a lot of things that need to be addressed for each person, like very similar things that they need to make sure they have down. But that one or two things, or maybe it's a couple of things or more than a couple of things that they really need to get straight if they want to see the success long-term, it's always a little bit different, but it is usually in one of these four buckets. And that's why I call them the big four. Now, before we get into the big four, make sure that you are following or you are subscribed wherever you're watching or listening so you don't miss another episode going forward. Because remember, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, there's episodes. So if you missed a couple, go back. There's plenty. And I guarantee whatever you're struggling with, there is something there for you to help you get on the right track. Now, let's talk about the big four. What are they? Number one, of the big four is the environment. Number two is X's and O's. Number three is your physiology. And number four is your psychology. So what the heck do all of these mean? Let's start with the environment. When it comes to people's environments, a lot of times they're trying to set up a lifestyle change with a really unsupportive environment. So it makes the whole process harder. It makes them feel like they always have to be disciplined. They always have to have willpower. And eventually that stuff runs out. So the one big thing that a lot of people that are able to do it long-term have in common is that they make it easy for themselves. They make their environment support their goals. So when it comes to their support system, for example, their friends and family know that they're on this journey, that they are this person, that they support them more times than not. And it can really be a hindrance if you do have an unsupportive spouse, friend group, parents, anything like that. And when it comes to that type of situation, it can help to have very challenging conversations and establishing boundaries and things along those lines. And it is, like I said, different person to person, but just to get your mind in the right space of like, hey, maybe I got to have a talk with this person, because those little jabs every once in a while, them taking digs at my efforts, it's really starting to eat at me and it's really pushing me in the direction I don't want to go. So we need to have a talk. Another thing is work and social situations. So at work, is your office set up where you just have snacks galore and they're staring you in the face? If so, is there anything you can do about it? Like, do you have to have a certain amount of candy in a dish on your desk, or can you slide that into the desk when nobody is scheduled for an appointment or you don't have a meeting or anything like that, so you don't need it out in the open? Or is it possible to say when you go to the bathroom, take a different route so you're not going in front of the vending machine, and then that'll give you some extra steps too. So win-win. A little stuff like that can make a big difference and not really fatigue your decision bucket throughout the day, because we can only make X amount of decisions as we go through our day. Don't let that be one of them if you can avoid it. And then along with that is old habits. Like, I always buy this bag of chips, or I always have this stuff in the house, or I always cook this certain way. Sometimes you need to challenge that stuff. And a lot of us do, because if you want to change, you can't always do what you've always done. Otherwise, you're going to be exactly what you've always been. So you got to really take a look at those things and say, are these really non-negotiables, or am I just not willing to go through the discomfort of trying to change it and see how I can change that going forward and not have to do this over and over and over again? Then next up is X's and O's. This is the simple stuff. This is what should be simple. It's just, what do we need to know as far as nutrition, exercise, and supplementation? And unfortunately, the waters get muddied when it comes to this type of stuff, because everybody's trying to remake the wheel pretty much. Because when it comes to nutrition, it's really not that hard. It's, okay, I need to eat X amount of calories. Okay, how do I eat that many calories? You eat mostly whole foods because they fill you up and make you feel energized and end up burning more calories than eating mostly processed stuff. But you got to include some processed stuff if you truly do enjoy them, if there's a link to your culture, if there's some sort of happy memory that comes with that, if it allows you to have a certain social connection that does more good than bad, then that's how you got to weave it all together. But you got to understand how to do that. And then when it comes to exercise, do it in a way that fuels your body the way it needs to be fueled. So build muscle if you need more muscle, build conditioning if you need more conditioning, make it more fun if you really struggle with sticking with it long term. Because if you stick with a suboptimal routine, but you enjoy the hell out of it and you could do it for years and years and years and years, then it's going to serve you 1,000 times better than the perfect program that you absolutely hate that you can only stick to for a month. And then last but not least, when it comes to supplementation, supplements are not the end all be all. They're not going to get you everything that you want and more if you don't already do the work first. So they're the last piece of the pie. They should only be viewed as like the 1% after you've already nailed the basics, because they just won't do the job if the basics aren't in place. So when you do get to that point, just so you know, the amount of supplements that actually are worth their money, like it's worth actually investing in them, it is such a small list. It is such a tiny list. And chances are the new and sexy thing that you're seeing all over social media is not it. Okay. The only ones that truly are worth your money are, number one, creatine monohydrate. There's more and more benefits coming out day after day, week after week, the more that they study this stuff. And they've been studying it for the longest out of any supplement known to man. Okay. Number two is fish oil. If you don't already eat fatty fish in your diet semi-consistently, at least 2 times a week, then yeah, that's probably worth it. And then there are a number of other supplements that if your blood work tells you that you're deficient in certain things, if you are able to get a supplement that addresses that, then that could be an absolute game changer. But the key is that you actually got to get blood work first. You don't just do this gunshot approach of, oh, well, I heard this is good for me, so I'm going to take this, because that's one of the worst things you could do, because most supplements, in fact, 89% of supplements lie on the label. They either don't have the clinical dosages that they say they do, and or they have prohibited substances in there that could potentially harm you, because the supplement industry is a gigantic game of what can we get away with before getting sued or before somebody dies. And then they shut down shop. They basically get rid of their LLC, and then they open up under a new name and do it all over again. That's what most supplement companies do, but that's not what you see in the marketing. So don't rely on supplements. Do the stuff that we know works: nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, hydration, the big ones. Okay. And then once we've got all that knocked out, or maybe this might be first on the list for some people, it should be first on the list for pretty much everybody, is your physiology. So make sure that you see a doctor, make sure that you have things taken care of and you've been tested for certain things. Because if you have certain issues with, say, your thyroid, or you're insulin resistant, or you have something that metabolically messes you up to the point where it makes it harder to get the results that you want, because it makes you feel like crap, because it results in you moving less, because it affects your hunger, and all these other things are working against you, you're setting yourself up for failure. So go to the doctor, find out what exactly is going on with you, and if you need to manage certain things. And then that could be that one missing piece of the puzzle that all of a sudden you start seeing results. And it'll make it easier. So let's say you don't have those big rocks that I just talked about, like your fitness, your nutrition, your supplementation. It'll make doing all that stuff easier, because when we feel better, when we are operating at our best, it's easier to stay on plan. All right. So along with that, I will say, when it comes to seeing a doctor, if you are working with a personal trainer, coach, nutrition, whatever, anybody who is involved in your healthcare team, they should complement each other. You should not have all these differing opinions of, well, I think they should do this instead of that. I think they should do this instead of that. You should have a team of experts in their field saying, hey, I'm going to refer to them because they're the expert and they understand this way better than I do. And I trust that you're in good hands. So if you have a personal trainer that's like, hey, I got your program down, we're going to make sure that you move in a way that doesn't hurt. But if you have a physical therapist that tells you we got to do X, Y, and Z, I'll work it into the program. Or if you have a nutrition coach and the doctor says, okay, because of this, because you're insulin resistant, or for example, I want you to bring the carbohydrate levels down and I want you to increase the amount of protein, then they'll say, okay, let's do that. Let's create some habits around that to make sure that we put you in a position where you can actually get that done. Or for any other food that will not satisfy your goals because medically it will mess you up, then a nutrition coach should step in and say, okay, cool. That's what the doc says. We're going to do this to help support that. Not, well, I read that this isn't good for you because blah, blah, blah. No. we need to understand our scope of practice and understand that we are in a position where we can absolutely help you out within that scope, but you need a total healthcare team to get you the best results and do right by you. Okay. And then next we have psychology. So when I talk about the healthcare team, that may include a therapist, and that's totally fine. And honestly, most of the people I have worked with, most of the people I have come in contact with where we talk about their goals and their struggles probably would benefit from having a mental health professional on their healthcare team. Okay. And it, again, should be one of those things where it complements it. Now, are there some people that probably shouldn't count calories, should not be working on the fitness aspect and really need to hone in on the mental side of things? Absolutely. But there are a population of people that can do it as a complement to their overall plan. So going and exercising and eating well can actually complement the things that you're working on in therapy, situation dependent. This is not for everybody, but I'm just saying there is a population that can be served very well where they have their exercise taken care of, their nutrition taken care of, and they have a help of a mental health professional. And that will be a giant recipe for their success because they're getting all the attention on the things that they need the attention on. Okay. And then a big thing that I want to also hammer home is understanding the difference between clinical and non-clinical, because again, when you have, say, depression, for example, there is clinical and then there's like not that level there's levels to this. So if you are dealing with that, then it's like, yes, mental health professional, probably best to take a break on certain things if absolutely necessary. Or when it comes to eating disorders, for example, clinical versus non-clinical, like eating disorders versus disordered eating patterns. Those differentiations are very, very, very important. So it can help seeing a professional to differentiate that for you and help you understand your situation better so you can make the right moves going forward. Okay. And then along with all of that, the best thing to do when it comes to everything that I just talked about is having a quality coach. Now, me personally, I take care of nutrition and fitness because it's like a one-stop shop. But other people do one or the other, which is totally cool. So if you want to get one specialist in one specialist in the other, awesome. But just know a coach should bring it all together. They should be able to synchronize all this stuff going on. They should be able to take feedback from your doctor, from your therapist, from your physical therapist, and put it all together into a plan that best serves you, while actually listening to those people, not just inputting what they think that they know with not even a fraction of the training. Okay, it should be respectful on all ends. And then when it comes to experience with others, they should have plenty of experience serving the population that you are in, because even though they may not have like a doctor's level knowledge on something or a therapist's knowledge level on something else, they should have some baseline of experience of, okay, I've worked with these people who have had these problems and this works really, really well for a lot of them. So why don't we give this a try? And if it doesn't work, no problem. But if it does, this could be that missing piece that you haven't had for years and years and years. And now you're on the path towards success, which is awesome. So that can be a gigantic bonus as well, having that experience in your corner. All right. Now, like I said, everybody has different ways of doing this, but I have the FIT40 program where I do take care of the environment, the X's and O's, the physiology. I try and complement other healthcare professionals and best serve you as best as possible. But I can say everything and it sounds all great. But at the end of the day, if you do want to actually experience it, that's what the FIT40 Kickstart is for. So if you want to do that, I'm going to be running it every single month for 10 people. You get the full one-on-one FIT40 coaching experience, and it's absolutely incredible. You're going to learn everything you need to learn. You'll get a taste for it and you'll see what it's all about. Now, if you want to go ahead and apply, go down into the show notes or the description, wherever you're watching or listening, and the link is right there. And along with going ahead and applying for that, I would definitely jump in the FIT40 family as well, the free Facebook group, because that'll get you free at-home workouts and high-protein recipes that you can take advantage of today. All right, that's it for today. I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope that this helped. But until next time, I'll see you later. Go kick some ass.